Okay, now I'm going to show you 4 correct ways of solving a linear inequality. All 4 of these are correct. Some have a higher percentage success rate than others, though. So the first step I did here is I subtracted 2 from both sides. I got -3 less than or equal to 3. And then I divided by -3, changed the inequality, and divided by -3. And I did them all 3 at once. This is correct, but almost nobody does this. And if they did, I would suspect that most of the time they would have x is less than or equal to -1, which is wrong. It's actually completely backwards. So I don't recommend this way of doing it. I think students would find this a little bit more confusing. It's like you're doing a little bit more jumping through hoops in your head. Okay, solution 2. First step's the same, subtract 2 from both sides, right? Which I don't tend to write, but you can write if you want, that's fine. Now, instead of dividing by -3, what I'm going to do is I don't like this negative exponent on the x. So I just make it positive. So how do you do that? Multiply by -1. So you just multiply by -1 and multiply this by -1 and change the direction of the sign at the same time. So what I'm really thinking is opposite, meaning opposite sign, right? Opposite, meaning pointing the other direction, and opposite. So you can't miss the one in the middle because you're doing all of the things, all of them. And if there's more terms, you do all the terms. It's opposite. And this is in the middle, so you don't miss it. See, so it goes like that. See what I did? So opposite sign, going the other way, opposite sign. Now I've got a coefficient that's positive, so I don't have to divide by a negative. This way you never have to divide by a negative. So you divide by 3 and divide by 3, and this stays the same here because you're dividing by a positive number. See, you don't have to write. I didn't have to write it down because there's just really easy numbers, 3 and -3, and dividing by 3. Okay, now this way of doing it, I've never seen anybody do this wrong. This step. They might do some arithmetic wrong, but they don't get the sign wrong. Ever. Not once. So I would call this a 100% success rate. So not too surprisingly, I think, I recommend this method. 100% success rate. You can't really argue with that. That's just from observing when people get things right, when they get them wrong. I mean, they could get these wrong, but it would be because they subtracted wrong or they divided wrong, which for this one would be hard. But, the numbers could be different. Or they don't reduce the fraction they get at the end or something like that. Or they're supposed to write it in interval notation. They write it backwards. But they don't get this step wrong here. That's the critical step. Okay, solution 3. Subtract 2 from both sides again. And then I'm going to divide by -3. But notice what I did is, and this is all correct. These are all 4. These are all correct. Up to 3 so far. When I divided by -3, I changed the sign then. And I wrote it out separately. I didn't try to write it out on the same line, which is the habit people have. Over -3, over -3. Scribble that out. I wrote it below, and then I changed the direction of the sign. This one, people who do this, usually fairly clever because they realize that they should write another line, but they'll still forget to change the inequality maybe 30-40% of the time. So it's not recommended, although it is correct. Okay. So you're actually writing down an extra step there. And yeah, what you write down is important, and a lot of you need to work on that because I've been looking at the tests, and some of you, what you write down, I mean, I don't know how you can get a passing grade at all with the way you write things down. It's a mess. So try to write things in an organized way. It makes it easier to learn, quicker to learn, and it makes for less confusion. This is actually the way I usually do these. So it's not my number one recommendation. That would be number 2. But I like to do it this way, so I'm showing you how I do it. I don't like the negative exponent, so I just move that term to the other side. It becomes a positive exponent. And that way I never have to divide by a negative. You just move it over there. And then the 5 you subtract, right? And you get 2 minus 5 is minus 3. Then you're dividing by 3. Okay. So you'll see me do this a lot. That's why I'm showing you this. I do this almost all the time. Sometimes I think, oh wait, I better go back and make sure they remember this way here. So I'll go back and I'll do a problem this way instead sometimes. But left to my own preferences, I usually do this. There's reasons for that beyond this course, but you don't have to write the over 3, but you can, because you're dividing by a positive number, see? And that's your answer. It's the same as the others. X is greater than or equal to -1. So those 2 recommended, especially solution 2. Other 2, not really recommended.